गोपीजनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारे जय गिरिवरधारे जनवल्लभा जय यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जनराञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारे जय गिरिवरधारे जय गोपीजनवल्लभा यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जनराञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Radha Nata Radha Radha Nata Radhe. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrakacharya Sudhasta Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrakacharya Asudhasta Srila Bhaktisanta Saraswati Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sakho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhani ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text 13. Sama Samannotama Madhyamadmaha Sukhe Cha Dukhe Cha Jitendriya Sahaya Moya Pak Pakila Loka Samyuto Vitsattva Vidatsva Virakila Loka Rakshanam Sama Somitama Sama Samantama Samadhyatmana Samo Samatama Samatmatamadama Samo Samantama Madhyatmatma. I can't get it. Sukheche Dukhecha Jitendriya Sahyaha Moyakapat Kila Lokasamyuta Vidatsva Virakila Lokarakshanam Sama Samantama Madhyatmadhamaha Sukhecha Dukhecha Jitendriya Sayaha Mayopakta Kila Lokasamyuta Vidatsva Virakila Lokirakshanam That's right. Sukhe cha dukhe cha jitendriya sayaha. Mayo bhaktata kila loka samyuto. Vidatsva virakila loka rakshanam. Samvad. Sukhe cha dukhe cha jitendriya sayaha. Mayo bhaktata kila loka samyuto. Vidatsva virakila loka rakshanam. Okay, we'll do the word for word. Samaha, equiposed. Samana, all equals. Uttama, one who is greater. Madhyama, one who is an intermediate position. Sukhe, Atma, one who is in a lower standard of life. Sukhe, in happiness. Cha, and. Dukhe, in distress. Cha, also. Jitendriya, having controlled the senses. Asayaha, the mind. Maya, by me. Upalpita, arranged. Akila, all. Loka, by people. Samyutaha, being accompanied. Vedatsava, give. Vira, O hero. Akila, all. Loka, to the citizens. Rakshanam, protection. So the translation is as follows. My dear heroic king, please keep yourself always equiposed and treat people equally, whether they are greater than you, in the intermediate stage, or lower than you. Do not be disturbed by temporary distress or happiness. Full control of mind and senses. Fully control your mind and senses. In this transcendental position, try to execute your duty as a king in whatever condition of life you may be posted by my arrangement. For your only duty here is to give people protection to the citizens of your kingdom. Purport for His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Here is an example of receiving direct instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. One has to execute the order of Lord Vishnu, whether receiving it directly from him or from his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. Arjuna fought the battle of Kurukshetra under the direct order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Similarly, here, Pritham Maharaj is also being given orders by Lord Vishnu regarding the execution of his duty. We have to stick to the principles stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vyasayamika buddhir. Every man's duty is to receive orders from Lord Krishna or from the bona fide representative, and take these orders as his life and soul, without personal considerations. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that one should not care very much whether he is going to be liberated or not, but he should simply execute the direct order received from the spiritual master. If one sticks to the principles of abiding by the order of the spiritual master, he will always remain in a liberated position. A common man must execute the rules and regulations of an ashram dharma by working in his prescribed duty according to the caste system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra, and the spiritual order system, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. If one simply execute regularly and strictly the injunctions followed in the different divisions of life, then one satisfies Lord Vishnu. As a king, Maharaj Prithu ordered Lord Vishnu to keep himself always aloof. As a king, Prithu Maharaj was ordered by Lord Vishnu to keep himself always aloof from the activities of bodily situation and to engage always in the service of the Lord and thus keep himself in a liberated stage. The word Bhadha Subrida in the previous verse is explained here with, one can fully remain in an intimate connection with the Supreme Lord directly or receive orders from the bona fide representative, the spiritual master, and execute the orders sincerely when one keeps aloof from the activities of the body. The Lord helps us by giving us directions how to act in devotional service and thus advance on the path back home, back to Godhead. He instructs us outwardly in the form of the spiritual master, and therefore one should not accept the spiritual master as an ordinary human being. The Lord says, Acharam mam vijnayan nava manyate karchichit. One should not treat the spiritual master as an ordinary human being. One should not treat the spiritual master as an ordinary living being, for he is the substitute of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 11:17-27. One should treat the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and never be envious of him or consider him to be an ordinary human being. If we follow the instructions of the spiritual master and execute devotional service to the Lord, we will remain always free from contamination of bodily and material activities, and our life will be successful. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhikanta Namaste Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripasindubhevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll try to say something on this verse and purport, and we'll read the translation again. My dear heroic king, please keep yourself always composed and treat people equally, whether they are greater than you or in the intermediate stage or lower than you. Do not be disturbed by temporary distress or happiness. Fully control your mind and senses. In this transcendental position, try to execute your duty as a king in whatever condition of life you may be posted by my arrangement. For your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom. So here we see that Lord Vishnu is giving some instructions to King Prithu on how to rule his kingdom. And we know from the previous verses that King Prithu is an empowered incarnation of Krishna, and he's already basically on the perfect position, because but still he is taking instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you know, although we may be coming to Krishna consciousness from various backgrounds like this, or sometimes we may be born in devotee families, and we may say that, you know, I don't need a spiritual master, because, you know, sometimes people talk like this: I don't need a spiritual master, I've been following Krishna consciousness from my birth, you know, and therefore I do not need a spiritual master. And you know, I have Srila Prabhupada as my spiritual master. So, but this is not on, because Prabhupada clearly states, you know, in his purports and in the Bhagavad Gita itself, you know, that Arjuna, although, you know, he was an intimate disciple of Krishna, but he still accepted Krishna as his spiritual master. And so like this, we should take an example from Arjuna, that, you know, although you know, we may be born in devotee families, but still we need a spiritual master, you know, someone to guide us on the path, right? And or we may have one Diksha Guru, but many Shiksha Gurus, like this. So we can take instructions from many other devotees or gurus, you know, in the line of the cyclic succession, in the bona fide line, as Srila Prabhupada has given us. So in this way, you know, we can make advancement in our spiritual lives, you know. So yes, so the spiritual master is very, very important in our spiritual development, in progressing spiritually and making advancement back home, back to Godhead. So this may be a very long path for some of us, and for this, or it may be a very short path. It all depends on how eager are we, or how enthusiastic are we to take the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master to heart and to carry out his mission. We know that Srila Prabhupada's mission is a preaching mission, and you know, we should, in whatever situation we find ourselves, we should try and preach about the glories of the holy name, about Krishna, like this, you know, as Srila Prabhupada did. And we see that Srila Prabhupada was an expert representative of the Guru Parampara, right? And because he took the teachings of the Guru Parampara, and he basically formed or you know, his purports are the compilation of the various acharyas. So we find that Srila Prabhupada, you know, he basically took these teachings to heart, and he presented them in such a beautiful way. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, like this. So we should, with all due respect, we should try to study these books, not only read them, but Prabhupada said, I want my disciples to study my books. So when we study these scriptures, then we can, Shishi Radharadhanath Ki Jai. So when we study Srila Prabhupada's books, then only we'll be able to disseminate this knowledge to everyone we come in contact with. Otherwise, you know, it will just be kept within ourselves. So the more we give out this knowledge, the more we receive knowledge. So this is spiritual mathematics, right? The more we give, the more we receive. So, but if we take this knowledge and keep it for ourselves, then, you know, it'll wither away. So we need to expand or preach the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, like this, so that, you know, we can retain this knowledge. Also, when we preach, we retain this knowledge within our minds and hearts, and when we give it out to other people. So in this way, we actually imbibe this knowledge and disseminate it. So the more we give out, the more we retain it within ourselves, right? So this is so once my spiritual master was listening to a class, and he says that actually we learn verses, right? We learn different verses, and in order to remember that verse, for a whole lifetime, we need to preach on it, So we take this verse and we talk about, we quote it in class, and the more you quote it, the more you retain it within your mind, and the more you remember it. So like this, we can try to learn verses, and this is one way of actually which helps me to remember Krishna, by learning verses, and so we should try like this, try to learn verses, and we see that the more we to learn a verse, basically it's very difficult in this age of Kali, because to remember anything is so difficult, right? But learning verses, we have to constantly repeat, constantly repeat one line until you know it, and then say it without looking, and then the second line, and then repeat both lines. So like this. So in this way, we actually remember the verses. So basically teaching the Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture. So this is how I teach the students how to actually learn verses, by repetition. And we see that repetition is so good that it sticks in the mind, right? And but also, which is good, but we should actually follow what's in the verse, So here, Prabhupada is basically saying that as a king, Pritham Maharaj was ordered by the Lord to keep himself aloof from the activities of the bodily situation, and to engage always in the service of the Lord, and thus keep himself in a liberated stage. So, this is an instruction to us as devotees also, that we should try to stay aloof of this material nature, by always trying to remember Krishna, and listening to classes, and basically, as I was saying, learning verses, in this way we can always remember Krishna, and basically stay aloof of this material nature. So we'll just quote another. The Lord says, Acharya mam Vijjanayan nava mamete karichit. One should not treat the spiritual master as an ordinary human being, for he is the substitute of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Right? So in this way, to not only our Diksha Guru, but all spiritual masters, we should treat them on the same level as Krishna. So because they are imparting the knowledge that they have received from their spiritual master to us. So in this way, it's coming in the line of disciplic succession, and therefore we should give them all veneration, awe and veneration, like this, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So, so Prabhupada says that one should treat the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and never be envious of him or consider him to be an ordinary human being. If we follow the instructions of the spiritual master and execute devotional service to the Lord, we will remain always free from the contamination of the bodily and material activities, and our life will be successful. So here Prabhupada is basically encouraging us to execute the directions of the bona fide spiritual master, and not be contaminated by the modes of material nature which is engulfing this world, right? if you go out there, you will just see the people in general and how the modes are getting to them. And in this way, people start to break the principles, and they do all sorts of nonsense activities. So devotees also, we can become contaminated by these modes. These modes are always there, always influencing us. And Prabhupada states here that we should try to rise above these modes and be aloof of them. So in this way, we should try to keep the purity of Krishna consciousness within our minds and hearts, and we'll be able to give this out to people in general. So this is a preaching movement, and Prabhupada encouraged his devotees to preach, go out on book distribution, Hari Nam, like this, so that we can give everyone the holy names and to bring everyone back home, back to Godhead in this way. And we see that Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example of this. He followed the instructions of his spiritual master to heart, and and the first instruction that his spiritual master gave him was to translate these books, or to preach this gospel in the English language. And in this way, Lord Chaitanya Srila Prabhupada took this message to heart, and although he wasn't able to execute it there and then, but he prepared himself for the time when he left India to come to the West and to give us this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So and he was a perfect acharya, because he set an example, and everything he said, he basically did, and here Pritham Maharaj is being given instructions, on how to rule his kingdom. And we find that also Yudhisthira Maharaj, Yudhisthira Maharaj was a perfect king, and in this way he executed his duty to the best of his ability. So I just want to read something to you from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the fourth let's just go back. Chapter 9. Sorry, I lost myself for 1 second. So we find later on in this chapter, the Lord also says, "My dear king, I am very captivated by your elevated qualities and excellent behavior, and thus I am very favorably inclined towards you. You may therefore ask from me any benediction you like. One who does not possess elevated qualities and behavior cannot possibly achieve my favor simply by performance of sacrifices, severe austerities, or mystic yoga, but I always remain equiposed in the heart of one who is also equiposed in all circumstances." So, we find that here the Lord is giving instructions on how to be equiposed, and basically to, treat everyone on the equal level, whether they be kings, or ordinary women, or exalted personalities, animals, like this, but to treat everyone on an equal level. Yad yad achariti shrestas tatad avataro jana sayam mam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. That whatever a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever example he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So this verse is in the Bhagavad Gita, that one should, especially exalted devotees, should set an example. Or any devotee basically should set an example for the rest of the world to actually follow, because this process that Srila Prabhupada has given us, people out there think that we are perfect, but actually all of us, we are coming with our different anarthas to Krishna consciousness, and we are not perfect. We are trying to follow a perfect process, but we are actually not perfect. And when people look at us, they think that we are perfect. No, we are not perfect. We are trying to be perfect. So this is the difference between us and the exalted acharyas. Like Srila Prabhupada, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. They are on a perfect level, right? But we are just trying to be perfect. And also our gurus are on the perfect level, but we are trying, right? So sometimes we may default in our practices. We may default, and that's there. But there's another verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that although one may commit an abominable act, but still, because he is rightly situated, he should be recognized as a devotee, because he's still pursuing on the path of Krishna consciousness. So yes, we have many false devotees. We are not perfect, but because we are on the right track, on a bona fide line of acharyas, and we're heading to our destination, so we should just keep at it and keep on the path of Krishna consciousness, as given to us by Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas. So I'd like to open this class up for discussion now, and basically speak of some of the qualities that you actually like, or qualities of Srila Prabhupada that you actually that actually touches your heart. So anyone? Yes, Madhurya, you can take the mic, because
I was just thinking, when you were talking about how Prabhupada, how he was given the instruction to preach in the English language. And it was something that my Guru Maharaj mentioned, and I was just thinking about it, how he was, he could have very easily, he translated the Bhagavad Gita, he translated first canto, and he went to America, and we know for quite a long time he was unsuccessful. He could have been like, okay, I did it, I preached in English language, I translated some books, I did my best, and that's what most of us might have done. I mean, already what he did in that time was already so much, but he didn't give up, he continued, He could have just said, I fulfilled my instructions of my spiritual master, I did it. But he actually continued and kept on translating, and stayed even though it was so difficult. He faced so many difficulties, and people weren't taking to it. They weren't, nothing was happening. It took a long time for the society to build up. So just that steadfastness and that determination and that firm faith that Prabhupada had. Because I know for myself, I would have been like, okay, I tried to fulfill this mission, where's the benefits now, So yeah, I thought of that. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
comment firstly on some of the points that I was writing when you were speaking on Prithu Maharaj. Firstly, you don't need a spiritual master. People have that view. From birth they are following, and Srila Prabhupada is my guru. That is quite, is becoming more prominent now, and people. But Prabhupada's system was, and he created a system where devotees could initiate. That's my understanding, after reading his books. But everybody can help you in the process. And you mentioned about Diksha and Siksha gurus. You can make spiritual advancement. You can have many Siksha gurus. But an important point is that two things. One is that when an instruction is, if you get an instruction from your Shiksha guru, which is contrary to what your Diksha guru is saying, then you have to follow the Diksha guru. Because the Diksha guru, the second point is that the Diksha guru takes the responsibility, the karma. That's the second point. And then you speaking about repetition is good, because you find in Prabhupada's books repetition, of you're not the body, your spirit, soul, so often, and sometimes people even get tired of hearing these things and reading it, But it's but we become so enlightened, we come alive when we're talking about it. Because if you're stuck in preaching, just talk about you're not the body. That's what we talk about, and basically that's what we have to bring it to. Like the other day, there was a group of French people had come, and Madhurya wanted us to come up and speak to them. So they wanted to get into these pictures, trying to find out what it is. I started explaining how you're not the body, and they understood it. And then we had an ecstatic kirtanya with them, and they were dancing and chanting, and then they left with such an experience, So we have to repeat this message, as you were saying. I found that interesting. I found many things interesting, repeating the verses. And one should not treat the spiritual master as a human being. That's in the purport. And never be envious. That's also very important. And if you be envious, then you won't get this knowledge. And the other point you made about if you don't give it, you can't retain it. Even if you know it, it's like a leaking pot. So the water is going, it'll come out. See, you lose it. Actually, you lose the knowledge. And I found that interesting. Then, I'm talking on Prabhupada. I found on Prabhupada, the qualities that I liked about Prabhupada. Lots of it. Forgiveness. But in when his society was compromised, he didn't forgive. He was like even some of his god brothers, were envious of him. He mentions it in his purports. It's mentioned. It's there in the Nectar of Instruction. But forgiveness, that quality of forgiveness, like how when one person was imitating Achyutananda and collecting money, and then later, when they caught him, they brought him to Prabhupada. He said, "No, I surrender to you." And Prabhupada said, "Okay." Now they told the police, "You can't take him." And but Prabhupada told him that if you do this again, then we'll have to hand you over to the police. And then after some days, he was stealing, and then Prabhupada said, "Call the police, take him away." You get it? So, he was also there was forgiveness, but also he was firm when it came to his institution. I found that an important quality, and there's so many others, but I give others a chance to talk. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, there's so many qualities or that we can appreciate from Srila Prabhupada, but for me what sticks out is that Prabhupada really created our good fortune. There's the story of Prabhupada describing how that from our previous lifetime we performed some pious activity, and that in this lifetime we managed to become a devotee. But then Madhavisa Prabhu stands up and Madhavisa Prabhu says that, Prabhupada, I had nothing from my previous life. In fact, in this life I was on my way to McDonald's and I was about to buy a beef burger and something from McDonald's, but then the devotees stopped me and they took me to the temple and I never went back. And then Prabhupada said, yes, that's because I created your good fortune in this life. I created your good fortune in this life. So how do we repay you, Prabhupada? So Madhavisa Prabhu asked, he said, then you go and you create the good fortune for others. So that's all we can do, to really appreciate Srila Prabhupada and what Prabhupada has done for this world. Let's give out and give out the good fortune to others as well, so that they can also come in touch with this magnanimous personality, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was small, and I used to go to my auntie's place, and I used to find 2 books. But there's a picture of this person that I saw, which is Srila Prabhupada. I never knew who he was, but I used to see his picture all the time. In every places I go, I see his pictures and everything. So, but not realizing what was his position, and yeah, all I know he's a Swami and everything. So anyway, I'm very thankful for Srila Prabhupada for actually making my life actually, I don't know what to say. I just thank him for changing my life, and if it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada, and if it wasn't for this temple here in Chatsworth, I would be going to the nightclubs, I would have drinking with my friends, I would be still smoking, engaging in certain activities, and like on a Saturday basis, I'd just be with my friends. Sometimes I go out to nightclubs, come back late in the night, around 1 o'clock, and my parents weren't happy about it at all. So I'm thankful to Srila Prabhupada that he gave us everything. He gave us Krishna, he gave us the devotees, the family of devotees. He built a big, massive ship where we all can live in. It's called ISKCON. And yeah, if people want to go to nightclubs and want to dance, instead of going to that place, they can come here and dance in the kirtan. So, yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. The 2 qualities, well, there's so many qualities of Srila Prabhupada that I admire, but the 2 things that stand out for me is his faith in his spiritual master and his compassion also for all of us. It is only through his compassion that, I have the good fortune of being in Krishna consciousness. Truly, Srila Prabhupada has created our good fortune. He's created my good fortune. Hare Krishna. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So we have a meeting at 8:30 in Srila Prabhupada's room.